It was one of the more interesting things we saw when we were in Vegas. And I'm not talking about that stuff on Fremont Street, although that admittedly, Fingers Malloy, was interesting.
What wouldn't be interesting on Fremont Street? That's my question to you.
I just didn't know anybody could be so limber. It was a cigar, but it wasn't a cigar of just any name and a cigar of any style. It was a cigar from Epic Cigars. And I am a huge fan of something called the Epic 10, the 10-year anniversary cigar that Dean Parsons put out. This was a collaboration with a group out of New York, Arthur Avenue, which is the Bronx, which is the home of great stories. LCG working with Epic and Chaz Palminteri to bring a Bronx tale. It's Eat, Drink, Smoke. I'm Tony Katz, and that right there is America's favorite amateur drinker, Fingers Malloy. That's the Cigar Kids. Belmont Avenue, a Bronx tale. Chaz Palminteri's A Bronx Tale, the Calogero. Now, this was done as a limited release and then got more put into production. So the limited release was a 10-count box. This, a 20-count box. This we're smoking comes in 4 different vitolas, but this is a 6x54, which means it is 6 inches long. Always makes Fingers Malloy laugh. And the ring gauge is a 54, the diameter of the cigar, or how thick it is around. Again, with the laughter. So this is an Ecuadorian Habano wrapper right here that's working with a Dominican binder and fillers from the Dominican and Nicaragua. Calogero, of course, was the name of one of the main characters in the movie A Bronx Tale. And Chaz Palminteri tells the story of his father, whose name was Calogero, coming over from Italy, falling in love with America, a guy who loved a good cigar, made the cigar in his honor. And I will tell you that I've seen prettier, but it's got a wonderful silkiness, not necessarily overly oily, but rather smooth, even though you can feel the leaf.
Yeah, and great hand feel, a nice little bit of heft, and I just lit this. So far, I'm getting kind of a white pepper spice and it's a Habano wrapper. That is not going to be the most surprising thing I've heard all day.
And then also I'm getting a little bit of wood and a little bit of a creamy sweetness. Well, depending on what, those fillers and what's going on with the binder. We are just lighting this up. You can actually hear me lighting it up right now. You are toasting the foot. That is the end that you light. You cut on the cap side. We did a straight cut on here and trying this out. This again falls into the category, Fingers, of celebrities getting into cigars. But he got into cigars with this great storied place out of New York, and with Epic, which works with a group called Xander Gregg. I like Epic cigars. I like Dean Parsons more than I think he likes me.
Yeah.
I think the Epic 10, the 10-year, is still an absolutely great smoke. So this isn't celebrity kitsch. These guys make cigars. They have an opportunity here, and certainly with the name, a great story.
Yeah, and like you said, we just lit this. We're just in the first third, and just a lot of really nice smoke coming off of the stick. I mentioned earlier the hand feels really good in the hand. I'm going to be interested to see how this develops over time. But that for me, like I said, that it's like a white pepper, some wood, a little creamy sweetness. You didn't happen to mention, but you just lit yours as well. What you're getting from the stick?
Yeah. So the idea that Habano wrapper would give you a level of spice is not surprising. There's a tremendous amount of flavor. There's a reason that it gets used so often and in so many places. The spice is not overwhelming me at the first or at the start, but certainly you feel it.
Yeah,
I think that's a good way to put it. You're aware that it's there at the first.
Yeah, it's no pepper bomb. That's for sure. It's not melting your face off or anything. But that's the first thing that hits you when you light it.
Is the spice? Yes, absolutely true. I wouldn't think anything like this is going to give me chocolatey or anything close to that kind of feel. It's interesting that you thought you were getting or feel like you're getting a little bit of cream coming off the cigar.
A little bit of a sweetness, like a creamy sweetness, and then I'm getting a cedar.
See, I'm not getting anything woody yet either, but I just started. If on the first puff you're not really getting much, if it takes a while to figure out what it is you're getting, that makes perfect sense. Do not rush yourself. There are people who will take one puff and be like, oh, this is wonderful. They don't know. They're so full of crap. Don't listen to people who are full of crap. Listen to you. Smile at them and say, hey, father-in-law, you're sure right. But take some time, right? Get your pen, get your notebook, write it down. What did you eat today? What did you drink today? What's the weather like? We got some humidity here in Indianapolis, Indiana. Then break the cigar up into thirds. First third, second third, final third. What are the flavors you get from each third? Then when you smoke that cigar a month from now, 6 months from now, you do the same thing. You compare your notes. That's your through line. That's what you really got from the cigar.
Now, if you know the wrapper, binder, and filler going in and it's a new cigar for you, if it doesn't hit you right in the first third, how long do you give that cigar before you bail?
That's a great question. I don't know if I'm bailing on the cigar. What if I'm enjoying it? What if it's not what I expected, but I'm still enjoying it?
We're talking about this isn't hitting me the way I thought it was going to based on what I know the cigar is made from. Boy, I'm through the first third and I just don't like this. I'm hoping it'll change. So do you muscle through, or are you just like, I'm done. I've been smoking this for 20 minutes.
You've known me a long time. I'll walk away from a cigar and not even think twice. Don't care what I spent on it. If it doesn't work for me, it doesn't work for me. And therefore, I absolutely walk from it. But I'm willing to give things time. I'm willing to say there was something here that was desired by this blender, and I want to see what it is. I want to know what they wanted to put into it. It's like this: a Bronx Tale, the Calogero, which is Epic Cigars, done with Paul DeSilvio of La Casa Grande Cigars, LCG, in the Bronx, there on Arthur Avenue. I'm willing to give them the time for me to put in the time to figure out what it is they were trying to develop for me. What is it that I'm trying to get out of this? So I'm with you on that spice at the first. I'm curious if that spice is going to last, if it's going to linger, if it's going to stick around. I want to see where I am into the second third of the cigar before I make some level of decision. Because when you're dealing with anything celebrity cigar, you got to make sure. Are you liking it because you like the name? Are you liking it because you like the story? Are you liking it because you like it? And I think you got to like it because you like it.
Do you feel that story means more with bourbon than it does a cigar, or do you think it's the same? Like sometimes you'll give the story a little bit.
I think story means much more with bourbon than cigar.
Yeah,
I absolutely do. But my palate is more geared towards cigar, and I am much more focused on cigar because when I drink bourbon, I sip and I don't finish. I'm a sipper.
Yeah.
When I smoke a cigar, you better damn well make daddy happy all the way to the very, very end. Now, does this make us happy to the end? And does the price make us happy on a Bronx Tale from Epic Cigars? We'll find out. So it turns out that after much consideration, Fingers Malloy is disgusting. He's a hideous man with hideous taste. Fingers, how do you plead?
Dad?
Dietrich Smoke. I'm Tony Katz, and that right there is Fingers Malloy. And Fingers came upon a food trend, ladies and gentlemen. A food trend that he said, hey, Tony, we have to try this. Fingers, tell the people how you came about such a food trend.
As you know, Tony, I have two passions in life.
Is that right?
Yes. One is clogging. And two is monitoring social media trends and outrage.
Oh,
those are the two things.
You're doing great with that.
Thank you. I appreciate it. And apparently there is what the New York Post calls a new bizarre food trend. And that, my friend, is a Kit Kat chocolate bar, which I believe you're a fan of.
I am a fan. It's in my top 3 candy bars.
Yes. So it's a Kit Kat. It's the chocolate with the wafer in the middle.
Right.
And people on TikTok, they're battling it out over this ketchup slathered over a Kit Kat, like all over the top. And they bite into it. And some people say it is the best dessert you can ever have in your life. I may be exaggerating a little bit. And then other people are rightfully disgusted.
Rightfully disgusted. I saw that you put this in like, hey, we're going to talk about this this week. I'm like, this is an absolutely disgusting thing. And I'm a guy who's fine with ketchup. I'm a ketchup guy. Ketchup on a hot dog? Absolutely. Twice a week, whether you like it or not. But this is, why am I even saying it? Why am I even unwrapping this? I should just say no. I should just say no and not do it.
Why?
Because this is disgusting.
You don't know that.
Yeah, I do know. I've never been shot, and I know the bullet's going to hurt.
The first person that said to themselves, I'm going to dip potato in a chocolate shake, I'm sure people around them said, that's awful, that's disgusting.
Oh, no, they didn't. No one ever said French fries in a chocolate shake. How dare you? No one. You know what they did? Slow clap.
You think
they
so?
did slow clap, Fingers Malloy. That's exactly what they did, and everyone knows it. The best is you didn't go up and pick up like a bottle of ketchup. You grabbed a couple of ketchup packets from McDonald's that you had in your car.
Well, no, not to be fair. They were only in my car for 20 minutes. Because I ate on the way over here. And I said, hey, do me a solid. Can you throw some ketchup in there? And they're like, sure.
So what do we have to, do we dip it or do we have to put it in the video? They put it on.
In the video, and we will have this up on our website, eatdrinksmokeshow.com. They have what looks to be about 6 or 7 ounces of ketchup.
Right. They slather. You just want to dip.
Listen, right. I don't want us to get sick. You know what I'm saying?
It's a bit late for that. So you dip. I'm going to do it the way they did it. So they have the Kit Kat bar right here, and it's the 4 wafers, and then they take the ketchup. Oh God,
you're doing this.
Oh God, I feel terrible. And they put it all over, like they had it like this. They just like everywhere. I don't.
Oh, you're going to make me do that?
No, I'm not going to make you do anything, Fingers. If you want to let the people of Eat, Drink, Smoke Nation down, you go right ahead. All right, so I'm going in first?
I think you should. You're
right.
ready. You're
I'm
all
ready.
set. You're ready to go. He's going in.
I'm starting to think this show sucks. I'm starting to...
Listen, you have said for years now that we do not have enough eat on Eat, Drink, Smoke.
Well, I'm still right. All right, it's a Kit Kat. By the way, this is another reason why TikTok should be banned in the United States.
I don't understand what you're talking about. A lot of people take plenty of tips from TikTok when it comes to cuisine. If you remember a few years ago, people were downing Tide Pods like it was going out of style. I'm assuming that if you put together a TikTok menu, Tide Pods and chocolatey Kit Kats would both be on the menu.
It's Kit Kat with ketchup. Yep.
He's going in, ladies and gentlemen.
Can't do it yet. I don't want to.
You can do it. Oh, that's that old ketchup chocolatey crunch. And he likes it. He likes it. Hey, Mikey. God, he could not be more thrilled. Oh, okay. I'm sensing you're not a fan. This is not your, as the kids say, your jam.
All right. The problem. Hold on. I need a drink.
Please explain to me what the problem is.
The problem is that the ketchup has too much tanginess.
Oh.
And I'm literally tearing up.
You're saying I should have gotten a different ketchup.
Yes, and when I say different ketchup, I mean peanut butter. It's so stark in the contrast that that's terrible. Oh my God, that is awful. I'm trying to find a way to describe it, and it's just, have you ever like had like a piece of dessert and at the same time had somebody stick glass in your eye? It's like that. The contrast, like it's like you've got a lovely piece of cheesecake, but now you're bleeding from the eyeball. That contrast doesn't work, it turns out. One or the other, sure. No, that's bad. That's oh god, that's super bad. That's
All
super
right.
bad. You go fingers.
Glad that we learned that. Eat, Drink, Smoke Nation now knows.
You go fingers.
All right.
You gotta go.
All right. I'll go. I'll do this.
That's why I just dropped ketchup on myself.
I'll do this because I
he's
put it
dipping
on the fine china.
He's dipping right there, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, that is a fair amount of ketchup right there.
I just
You got a fair amount of.
I just didn't want to hear that I did not go
No,
the extra
you're
mile.
doing it. You're doing it. There you are. Courage.
Mazel tov.
No, that would be l'chaim.
L'chaim.
To life. Mazel tov with congratulations. And that is your Hebrew lesson for the day. He's taking his bite and he's going in for seconds. He's going in for seconds. You see, this is amazing. I don't know how, no reaction whatsoever from you. That's, by the way, that's why you taste bourbon different than other people. That's why you taste cigars different than other people. How is that tang just not repellent compared to the ultra sweet?
It's not awful. Oh. Would I ever do that again? No. It kind of reminds me of an old Simpsons episode where
doesn't everything?
Yes, where Homer combines tobacco seeds with tomatoes and comes up with a new product called Tobacco. I'm imagining if we could get a cigarette butt in there, that's probably what it would taste like.
That doesn't bother you that like it's two very opposite flavors.
Yes. Yeah, it's not good.
No.
And this is one of those things we've talked about it previously on the show where, we're both free market guys. After tasting this, I'm for a full ban on TikTok.
Thank you. It took this.
Yes.
Hand this to every member of Congress, and you won't see TikTok anywhere, at least in the contiguous I can't even say it. Contiguous United States.
Tobacco.
I lost the ability to speak. That's what this combination did to me. Oh, it's not good. Oh, I still need a drink. Oh.
He's going in, ladies and gentlemen. He's doing the Memphis Munch.
I am not. Oh, that is really, really bad. Eat, drink, smoke. It is your cigar, bourbon, foodie extravaganza. I'm Tony Katz, and that right there is America's favorite amateur drinker, Fingers Malloy. We are smoking a Bronx Tale. This is the Calogero. It is a mix, a collaboration, if you will, from the people at LCG, La Casa Grande Tobacco on Arthur Avenue in the Bronx, and Epic Cigars in conjunction with, yes, Chaz Palminteri, because if it's going to be a Bronx Tale, if it's going to be Calogero, it's going to be Chaz Palminteri himself. We are smoking this 6x54. And, you started off, Fingers, discussing that spice from the Habano, this Ecuadorian Habano. It is there, and certainly now all my flavors are completely screwed up by Kit Kat and ketchup, which, if you missed it, good for you. And also, video soon to be available over at eatdrinksmokeshow.com.
By the way, Kit Kat and ketchup is one of my favorite buddy cop movies.
Oh, that's good. Yep. It's just a slight second to Turner and Hooch, but just above Starsky and Hutch. Wait, hold on. That didn't have an animal in it. This, the Bronx Tale. With the Ecuadorian Habano wrapper, Dominican and Nicaraguan in the filler, Dominican in the binder. I'm not saying no to the spice. I'm absolutely saying there's a spice there. But you had mentioned that you thought in that first third you were getting a sweetness off the cigar. And I'm like, that's not typically where I would go. There's an extent to which I hear you. I kind of get that flavor. You're saying you're getting wood. I'm nowhere near that. I right now am getting an almond off of the cigar.
Okay.
And my problem is I don't know what's causing that at the moment. I just had the Kit Kat and ketchup with the craze that's taking over TikTok. So I don't know where my palate is right now. So I'm going to need a little while to get back into sync, clear myself, my palate with some water. I happen to have some coffee here. And I'm hoping that puts me back in a place where I can get a better understanding of where this cigar is. But it is smoking absolutely lovely.
It is. And that sweetness that I brought up at the beginning of the show, it's really not there for me anymore. And maybe it does have something to do with the fact that I just consumed chocolate, wafer, and ketchup.
Right.
That could be it. But the one thing that I'm noticing is that wood I was talking about, it's almost like a hay. now. I'm having a hard time putting my finger on exactly what's going on. Because at first it was definitely like a cedar note, and now I'm getting more of hay along with that spice. So but we completely screwed up by what we just did.
Correct. So two things are happening. Palate can be a bit confused right now, and that can have an effect. Don't panic. Find ways to clear the palate. Water, coffee, Diet Coke, I always find is very, very helpful. And then get back to it and take your time. And number two, sometimes you can't identify something right away. Totally fine as well. That's why you write down notes. That's why you put things down and get an idea of where the journey takes you. I'll tell you this much. Nothing about this cigar makes me unhappy.
Yep.
Right? So we're talking about trying to identify flavors, but we're not dismayed by what it is we're experiencing. It's a really nice cigar right now.
And, we're reviewing a cigar here, but how often when you're smoking a cigar for the first time, are you really sitting back and trying to concentrate and figure out every note?
All the time, but that's me.
All the time? You really
most times I am trying to figure out the note. I'm trying to understand what's happening. What is it that I get? And there are sometimes I get lost in it and I'm thinking about other things. I'll come back and be like, wait, what is it that I'm experiencing right now? So I can get back to the notebook and things like that. But you're right. Most people don't. They just get into a rhythm, into a flow. I admit that I'm different in that regard.
Yeah, I'm not usually like that because so much of this is for decompression. You're going and you're smoking a cigar on your back deck and you're just wanting to relax. And I'll sit back and, okay, this is a flavor profile I like, but I'm not one to sit back and say, oh, is that marzipan? Is that what that is?
I think I want to agree with what you're saying. I'm not like dissecting it like it's a science project.
Yeah.
But I am like, what am I experiencing here? What am I getting out of this? A Bronx tale, the Calogero, from the people there at Epic Cigars, along with the people over at lcgcigars.com. But let's put that to the side, Fingers Malloy. Actually, I got to ask you, I didn't get to ask the question. Is this in your humidor for $12.60 a stick MSRP?
I mean, we're still in the first third, but if things continue the way they are, I would probably say yes, because of the construction, because of that the flavors are hitting me right. And we're re-examining our price points. $12 for hour and a half.
Right.
Yeah, I think so.
Everything's gone up and nothing about that is changing. By the way, the Federal Reserve said they're going to hold rates right where they are. Thank you very much. So again, nothing is changing. They feel like they may have inflation under control, but it's only 1 month worth of data. You need 3 months, 4 months before you can start feeling good about that. I want it to happen. It hasn't happened yet. It's time, Fingers Malloy, for news of the week.
Well, it's funny that you bring up interest rates, Tony, because home prices are plummeting at the fastest pace in more than a year as demand for real estate sinks amid high mortgage rates, according to Redfin.
So the price of houses is going down?
Yes.
Where?
The report found that a whopping 6.4% of sellers have cut prices in the month leading up to the end of May 26th, the highest percentage of price slashes since November of 2022.
Where? Because that's not true here. Now, this is central Indiana, but it's not true here. It might very well be true in Florida. Might be true in Texas. But my point is, you're talking about national numbers.
Yeah, national numbers.
And they go over that data, and I get it. You still don't have more inventory. You still have people who think that the interest rates are too high, the payment is too high. So now it's going to be exactly how much cutting has to happen before people find their breaking point of, yep, now's the time to get in.
Yeah. I mean, we're in central Indiana, and much of central Indiana, the real estate market still seems to be pretty hot. You've got people moving in from all over the country, but maybe there are different parts of the country, like you said, that's not the case. So this is just a national average. I don't know what you can, obviously, when you're analyzing real estate, different markets have different trends.
That is the truth. Next, Fingers Malloy.
So this is interesting. A tipsy teacher with a blood alcohol level over twice the legal limit will not face charges in California because authorities came to the conclusion it's not illegal to teach drunk, Tony. They didn't put the Tony at the end of it. I did.
Oh,
but
they should have. Like they were talking to me.
It's not
so
illegal.
She's teaching. She's wasted.
Yes.
They're like, hey, you're wasted. The police come. They're like, wow, you are really wasted. And then they said, huh. And like, have a good day.
Yeah.
So there's a difference between the legality issue, like it's not illegal to teach drunk, and the morality issue, like you can't be drunk and teach kids in our school. You have to go goodbye.
Right. This was in. She was a second grade teacher.
Oh, I'd be drunk too.
I mean, this is amazing. I can't believe. I guess it's difficult to determine. It doesn't say exactly what part of the day that they realized she was drunk, because maybe she drove to her job and she could have been under the influence then. But I guess you can't analyze the person's blood alcohol level, 3 hours earlier. You can only do what you do at the time when you're arresting.
Does she still have a job?
Well, listen.
That's my question. Because getting fired from the job, I would get. Because I think it would be in any level of code of conduct that, hey, you can't show up blotto.
Well, at the time of the incident, the elementary school superintendent had informed parents that this teacher was immediately escorted from the campus in the wake of the arrest. She is no longer listed as a teacher on the school's website.
Okay. You can't go to jail for teaching drunk. I have never wanted to be a professor more in my whole... Yeah, but I wouldn't be the first, would I? Fingers, you and I have discussed that while we are from what's called a normal generation, I believe that's the terminology used, normal. We find ourselves, instead of calling somebody, be like, hey, what's going on? We text first. Hey, you got time for a phone call? Like somehow we need to set the stage, do that, because that's the polite thing to do. My God, if you've got my number, call me. And if you don't have my number, there's a reason for that. It's Eat, Drink, Smoke. I'm Tony Katz, and that right there is Fingers Malloy. Find everything at eatdrinksmokeshow.com, eatdrinksmokeshow.com. The story is that Gen Z is completely afraid of phones. And in the workplace, there are employers that are trying to get back to, instead of everything being a Slack or a text message, a call. An actual phone call, and they don't know what to do. They don't know how to handle it. It creates stress for them to have to talk on a phone. So the story is out of the New York Post. Younger generations, nicknamed Zoomers, didn't know that. Phone calls are a petrifying prospect. Their phone anxiety, I'll do this. Here it is. Telephonophobia. That's it. Telephonophobia has resulted in a wave of young people keeping the do not disturb function on all day long to avoid talking on the phone. The question to you, Fingers Malloy, is why?
Oh, well, they're exactly right, first of all. If I've said it once, Tony, I've said it once. People. Who needs to talk to people?
Why are you like that?
I don't know, but except I'm not talking about, of course, all the fine people in Eat, Drink, Smoke Nation who can hear my voice right now.
I'll call you right now. We're doing the show.
Call?
I will call. Yes. You did that. You said that to me the other day. A cold call. What's wrong with me? Here is my take.
Mm-hmm.
The reason Gen Z does not want to get on a phone call is because they are incapable of having a conversation in real time. They do not have the ability to simply talk with filter. They have to think about the thing, and then they type it, and then they're like, no, there's another better word, and no, there's an emoji for this. And by the way, when you talk in emojis, you lose all ability to engage conversationally. And we say, haha, tee-hee. No, that's clearly and obviously a thing. But I believe it's the anxiety of having to have an answer on the spot as opposed to thinking of some way to engage a conversation. They don't have the ability to move quick.
That, and maybe they've been brought up in a generation where they're worried about easily offending someone.
Oh, I think that's a huge part.
So
You and I do not have the same.
No, we do not. So I wonder if that's part of the problem. I like when I'm in the middle of a telephone call to actually use the text message kind of add-ons. So if I say, so for instance, if I brought up tobacco,
Right.
I would say something about a joke about tobacco, and then I would say on the phone, LOL.
You would not.
Yes, I would. That's what.
Really?
No, I don't do that.
Thank God.
But if that bothers you,
but you would send somebody, like tobacco comes from a Simpsons reference. You would send somebody the YouTube link that has the Simpsons reference while you were talking to them.
absolutely.
Right? That I get. That I understand.
That's the one thing that is really interesting about how we have changed when it comes to communicating with people on the telephone. I was having a discussion with someone the other day. I had all this work done in my house because we had this huge plumbing incident, and it ruined nine rooms of the house. The drywall, awful, just completely destroyed, flooring destroyed. And so to be able to talk to someone on the phone and send them pictures on the phone at the same time, to think back to 20 years ago, when you had your flip phone, to be able to do that, if you could do that 20 years ago, which I'm not even sure you could, because
send pictures on your phone
while you were talking on the phone at the same time on your flip phone. I think that would have been too much for the the phone to be able to handle. Tony, what an age we live in.
Yes, but 40 years ago, if you had some kind of flood, you would have been able to fix it yourself. So
true.
Maybe we should really be asking some questions about the age that we live in. But that anxiety, I think, is real. And they don't know how to communicate it out. They don't know how to share it out. And we should be clear. It's not better. That Gen Z and millennials have offered things and ideas and philosophies and concepts of personalization that I think have value. This doesn't. And allow me to say, this isn't me being old or anything else. They're just wrong. It's better to be able to communicate. It's also better to be able to write cursive. It's also better to be able to understand how to balance a checkbook. It's just better. And to say that these things are antiquated or not necessary, or why should I be bothered? Because this is how human beings communicate. And to not communicate is wrong.
Well, to be fair, I say, why should I be bothered to myself about 44 times a day? Having said that, do you think that this has something to do with the post-COVID world that we live in, and people were impacted on how COVID affected their lives, and this was impacted by COVID, to where before everybody was locked away and you could just communicate via text, even at work, everybody's working at home. They're getting on the Slacks, and now people are saying, well, no, we really need to bring phone calls back, and people just got too used to not having to talk to people.
I don't think so. I think that this is not a COVID thing. I think this is a generational thing that comes from continued distancing from conversation. It comes from siloing these things. Why give somebody an answer when you can text back a thumb up, right? Yeah. Which, by the way, I hate that. I can't stand it when people send me an emoji back. Answer me. Actually answer me. Say, I got the message. I'll even take an okay. But if you're sending me an emoji, it is a path to nonstop laziness.
To be fair.
Wow. Also, get off my lawn.
Yes.
And I don't know what else I'm supposed to say.
Okay, boomer.
Message. Right.
I think, but to be fair, when I'm driving my vehicle, trying to change the radio station at the same time and texting you, sometimes it's just easier to send an emoji. I don't do that, ladies and gentlemen. It's just a...
See, you said joke. Radio station, everyone knows you should be on Spotify, right? Well, no, wait, we're both in radio. You should be only on radio.
I was really wondering where you're going with that.
I see it as a problem. And I'm not interested in hearing the argument from a 20-something where I'm told I don't understand. With all due respect, just shut it. It's not about me not understanding. It's you not recognizing there's a way to do things. Some things are better done a certain way.
Okay, speaking of things done
If you want to disagree with me, start the company and communicate any way you damn well like.
Please, if you disagree with us on this subject, feel free to leave a comment down below. Having said that, Can we agree on one online communication platform and run with it? You know, you got the Skypes, you got the Zooms, you got the Teams. There's like 5 or 6 different platforms. I just want all of us to get on one and be done with it instead of having to learn new things. I don't want to learn new things, Tony.
Wow, we really do sound terrible right now. This just took an ugly turn. But we will see in a generation that this inability to communicate, there is going to be an outrageous amount of regret from this. There's going to be serious issues that come from this. You're not going to be able to communicate well with other people. You stay more isolated. You're not going to be able to communicate well with a doctor. You're not going to be able to exchange ideas. That's what this builds. That's what comes from this.
Communication. Too much communication.
Not enough communication.
Oh, I'm sorry.
You're saying it totally wrong. You see, I'm trying to save society. You're trying to figure out where to build your bunker in the woods where no one will find you.
Everybody, welcome to the dark side. Zero communication, just smoking cigars by yourself.
I mean, I don't mind alone time, but would you really rather have no communication?
I'm fine with communication on X. Follow me there at Fingers Malloy and the Facebook. I like talking to people on the internet.
God, you really do want to be alone all the time. A couple of years back, I had the opportunity to try out some Woodford Reserve with Elizabeth McCall, who is the master distiller now at Woodford Reserve. And she shared with me a bottle of Woodford Reserve batch proof. It's from 2022, 118.4 proof. You can give that some applause, Fingers Malloy. Anything that's over 100 proof gets applause from Fingers. And we tried it back then on the show, and I still have the bottle. And I haven't gone through the bottle. I said, it's a good time to bring it back, considering if you can get a new bottle, an unopened bottle at a store, it's going for $300. It's Eat, Drink, Smoke. I'm Tony Katz, and that right there is America's favorite amateur drinker, Fingers Malloy. The batch proof, they've done a couple of versions of this at higher proofs, by the way. 124 point, I'm forgetting what it is one of their latest ones. I thought this was a wonderful, wonderful drink, as I think Woodford is a wonderful drink. Woodford Reserve, it does a great classic bourbon. And the Woodford Reserve Double Oaked, Fingers Malloy, pound for pound for the dollar, a can't miss. That is a must-have in the liquor cabinet. I actually have in the liquor cabinet, Fingers Malloy, here in the studios, a double oaked.
Double oaked?
I have a double oaked. We have yet to open. It's kind of looks like a sample bottle.
Yeah.
Anyway, we gotta make that happen. But this has just been sitting here. It has just been waiting for more people to get to it. I just haven't had a chance. The Woodford Reserve batch proof, 118.4 proof, 72% corn in the mash bill, 18% rye, 10% malted barley. No age statement on this, but at least 4 years is what we know.
This is also what I know. We have been top shelf lately between last week doing the Blanton's single barrel, and you can find that review on any of your favorite podcast platforms. Just look for Eat, Drink, Smoke. And now this week, going for $300 a bottle?
That's what I saw. I couldn't believe my eyes. Wow. Could not believe my eyes. Now, first things first, it's an absolutely beautiful, beautiful color. You can call it copper if you want. You can call it almost into an amber kind of color. A beautiful, beautiful look. To this almost into like a darker wood, and that nose is still delicious, dude.
Yeah,
that is caramel oak sweet right there. How wonderful! Like that's what you want.
Yeah, and I gotta tell you, I remember doing this at one point, and I thought I remembered it being a little sweeter on the nose, and it may also be the kind of glass that we're using rocks glasses here, not the Glencairn glass, the foot, and then it bows out, comes back in, really concentrates the nose. Yeah, so I'm not saying there isn't a sweetness on the nose. There certainly is, but I'm getting a lot more oak this time around than what
I'm much more oak. And to the question of does it age in the bottle? No, It's in the bottle. It's in the bottle. The aging is taking place in the barrel, the charred oak barrel. But it is sweet and it is big oak. I love that nose. Fingers Malloy. Enough talk, enough jibber jabber, enough chit chat. Are you ready for this?
Tony, I've been ready for this all day.
Woodford Reserve, the Masters Collection, batch proof, 118.4 proof right there. We start it neat and do what is known as the Kentucky Chew. Move it around the palate, get an idea, feel for the bourbon. Sometimes you want to take 2 sips. The first one really to set the taste buds. The second sip to really understand flavors. Fingers?
Now, okay, first of all, it's wonderful. It doesn't play like it is over 100 proof, let alone at 118. That oak is there, leathery, and to me, there's like a dark fruit there as well. I'm not getting a lot of a traditional caramel, and again, you know, folks, palate is completely screwed up over what we did last hour with the Kit Kat and ketchup. So
yeah, that's a real thing that happens.
yeah. So that's still maybe messing with my palate a little bit. I'm getting more of that caramel on the nose than I am on the palate.
I'm going in. The Woodford Reserve. This is the Masters Collection batch proof from 2022, 118.4 proof. I'm going in.
He's going in, ladies and gentlemen. He's doing what we like to call the Saginaw swish. Also getting a little bit of spice at the end there too, like a baking spice. Very nice.
Oh, that is a full sting throughout the palate. The top of the roof of the mouth, the lips, the middle of the tongue, no heat going down, right? Maybe the slightest center chest heat right there. Oh, that is there is a bit of spice. But not a pepper, more like a baking spice, maybe working its way into some level of cinnamon, but I think it's more well-rounded than that. There's a lusciousness there. I get what you're talking about the fruit. I absolutely get what you're talking about the fruit. I almost want to think that's nutty. It's so good.
Yeah,
it is so. It's way sweeter than you would anticipate at the proof. You would anticipate more strength. That's not what you're getting. You get a real sweetness here. As often happens, I almost, if I wait long enough, I get a citrus. But I sometimes think it's my mind playing tricks on me. The Woodford Reserve Masters Collection batch proof, 118.4. It's just been in the back of the liquor cabinet. It was time to pull it out after 2 years.
Yeah, if I had known it was in the back of the liquor cabinet, I would have suggested it a long time ago. But
yeah, that is now. I will admit to you that when I saw it and found it, you do me a favor, double check. Fingers Malloy. When I saw this and I said someone's selling it for $300 a bottle, I said that's nutty. But I'm looking at it; it says sold out, so they could just put a price on it and it not be the actual price. But this is a couple years old. It might be harder to find. I'd have a hard time. I have a hard time paying $300 for anything.
yes.
It's not that I'm not willing to. Oh, daddy's willing. It's that I have a hard time. This at $300 is a hard time. But this is outrageously good.
Now,
the smooth characteristic here, the lack of attitude, but yet the joyousness of the presentation. It's just wonderful.
So
wonderful.
I'm trying to do a search, and a lot of things that are coming up is the Woodford Reserve Masters Collection batch proof.
Right. The Woodford Reserve Masters Collection. But it depends on which batch proof, because it could be one of the newer ones, which come in like 124 and other stuff like that.
The 2024 version, which is 121.2 proof, it's going at certain liquor stores for $125 a bottle.
Okay, then maybe a bottle of this is $300 because it's harder to find.
Yeah.
At 120, you're a buyer no matter what. And based on the 2022, I would absolutely buy the 2024. What was it, 150?
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely I would.
Oh, the 2024 is 125.
And even better. Now I buy two. I'm absolutely a buyer at that. This is solid work. Find everything at eatdrinksmokeshow.com. Everywhere you go, everybody wants a tip. You go quick serve, they want a tip. You're at the airport, they want a tip. I do this show with Fingers Malloy. He wants a tip.
20%.
Don't eat yellow snow. It's the best tip I have. It's Eat, Drink, Smoke. I'm Tony Katz. That is Fingers Malloy. Find us at eatdrinksmokeshow.com and subscribe to the podcast wherever it is you get podcasts. Eat, Drink, Smoke. Find it, do it, subscribe. We appreciate it. But there are times where it's okay not to tip. And there are times where you should absolutely tip. The people over at CNBC have a list. 5 times it's okay not to tip, according to etiquette experts. By the way, it is okay not to tip your etiquette expert.
Says you.
Well, I'm already paying too much. When is it okay not to tip? Number 1, when a plumber or a repair person comes by. That is absolutely true, except. Let's say you, Fingers Malloy, you had yourself a fine meal of convenience store and vending machine foods. And then that had repercussions. And because of that, you needed to call the plumber because your toilet is broken.
Okay.
It is not necessary for a broken toilet to tip the plumber. If it's a rainstorm or a snowstorm, yes, it is.
So if you're saying if there's, say, an unfortunate clog in the toilet that the plumber had to deal with,
perhaps a calamity,
then you say to yourself, first of all, I'm sorry you had to deal with that. And secondly, you slip in an extra 10, 15%.
No, not for the calamity. The calamity is why the plumber is the plumber.
Okay.
They knew that going in. It's like a doctor saying on the first day of being a doctor, what do you mean I'll see blood? The plumber is fully aware of what's about to transpire. If the plumber has to come in the middle of the night, if there is a rainstorm or if there is a snowstorm, that's when you tip. The basic stuff you do not have to tip. They've already built that into the price.
Well, they also have built that into the price if they're coming in at 3:00 in the morning. You're paying an emergency price.
Correct, but that's what you do. You do a little extra.
I'm learning so much.
Hey, I appreciate you.
I had no idea until I started doing Eat, Drink, Smoke with you that I'm supposed to tip my garbage man. I had no idea.
Christmas, yes.
Wow.
Mailman too. Absolutely. And by the way, homemade cookies, not a tip. Lovely, but not a tip.
Do you think the garbage man, if he sees the homemade cookies on the garbage can, he's thinking, that's garbage and I'm throwing it in the garbage can?
If you leave the tip on the garbage can for your garbage collector, you are a garbage person.
What if
you walk out there and say, hey, Tommy, thanks for everything.
Tommy.
Don't even worry about it. His name might not be Tommy. Just call him Tommy.
There's no way in HE double hockey sticks that you know the name of your trash guy.
They change. They change
their names?
No, our garbage guys, they change all the time. So no, I don't know their name. But you walk out there, hey, thanks. Hey, Merry Christmas. Hey, good to see you. Hey, tell your mother I said hello. And then you walk away.
Package of Oreos.
That's it. No. Another time where you do not have to tip. When you buy at a counter, I like this one because it applies everywhere. It applies retail. It applies quick serve. It applies at the local CVS. I like this rule. When you buy at a counter, you don't have to tip.
What if you're at the end of the counter and sandwich specialists put together a sub for you? Do you tip then? A sandwich specialist.
You can always choose to tip, but you do not have to tip in that situation. Now, this is a different conversation than everybody who puts a tip jar in front of you and goes, huh? They're all terrible people. Awful people. If I'm using a self-serve kiosk and it's like, would you like to leave a tip? I would like to throw out the self-serve kiosk.
I'll tell you where I never tip, and that's at the counter at the plumber.
Right. You're an idiot. Number 3, when you're at an open bar event. Now, this gets tricky. An open bar is you're at an event and you walk up and you're like, I'd like a whatever. And it's on the house, right? It's already covered. It's already paid for. You can have as much as you want. The idea that you wouldn't leave a tip, it's very true. You can just grab the beer, say thank you, and move on. If it's a wedding, I get not leaving a tip. If it is a corporate function, I would absolutely leave a tip. Fingers Malloy, as a bartender, am I right or am I wrong?
You're right. And I'll tell you something else. How do you handle the tip? Because for me, what I like to do is I like to make eye contact, and usually I have a mohawk or something where I stick out a little bit and I'll say, hey, sports fan, how you doing? And then I give a big bill up front instead of every time I'm going up there, here's $1, here's $2.
The concept there is utilized in bar culture known as buying the bar. When you're at a bar and you walk in and you order a drink for you and your friend, and the bill is, let's say it's $16, and you leave 100 and say, keep the change. Hey, my name's Tony. Remember my name. You bought the bar. So anytime you walk up for another drink, you might have to pay for the other drink, but you're going to get the service right there and then. Now, that is such an old school New Yorkism that I do not know if it would actually get you service to this day. But conceptually, I like what you're saying, that if you're at one of these events and the bar is full, if you've already tipped the bartender well and you put it in the glass, right, front and center so everybody sees it, encouraging other people to tip, you'd get a little extra service. I actually like that play.
Yeah,
That is a baller play.
I feel like that it needs to happen not only because you hope for better service later, but then also the idea that you keep doing the whole George Costanza waiting for the guy to turn around and make sure that he sees you tip again, and it's all weird, and so you can avoid it by doing that.
When it seems like double tipping or fees are built in. So for example, if the restaurant already charges a gratuity, if they make a big deal of how our servers are paid, so tips aren't required. No, you don't have to tip. In those situations, you can choose to. It's like they have on the list when the service is poor. Agreed. You do not have to tip when the service is poor.
Do you feel like the bar has changed on that to where, it used to be 10% was a standard tip?
Oh, 20% is the standard. Correct.
Yeah, it is. And now I feel like in a lot of ways, stiffing is completely frowned upon, and if you give someone a 10% tip, that's almost like not giving a tip.
Yeah, so I think if you're going to make this move, I think you make it bold. You didn't tip because the food was bad or because the service was bad?
Because the service was bad, but it's rare that I don't tip.
Right.
I'll
but
tip no matter what.
If you like the food but didn't like the service, don't leave a tip for the server. Walk into the kitchen and give the first chef you see $20. That is a baller move. I have not done that often, but
you've done that.
I've absolutely tipped the kitchen before. Absolutely, I've tipped the kitchen before.
Never done that.
Oh, 100%. 100%. I will share with you the best thing I ever learned as a restaurant manager, and I don't see enough managers doing this. I'll explain it coming up. Eat, drink, smoke. It is your cigar, bourbon, foodie extravaganza. Tony Katz, that's me. Fingers Malloy, that's that guy. Find it all at eatdrinksmokeshow.com. Drinking the Woodford Reserve Masters Collection. This is from 2022. 118.4, the batch proof. There's a series of these. This was a bottle in the back of the liquor cabinet. We had tried this a couple years ago, and I haven't had it since. Forgot that it was there. Hold it back out. And it is just a beautiful, beautiful presentation. I actually refuse to bring it to a cube. I'm just doing it neat. There's this wonderful, wonderful bit of oak that's going on well throughout this. We talked about the idea of dark fruit. We talked about the idea maybe that's a nutty kind of thing. But the effect it had for me, full palate, the roof of the mouth, the middle of the tongue, in the cheek. Just wonderful.
Yeah, and I didn't want to say this earlier because I know that my palate was influenced on what we did the previous hour with the Kit Kat and the ketchup. But now that we're long since past that, I am getting a little bit of chocolate that I wasn't getting before. Well, I was getting it before, and I thought, well, maybe that's the Kit Kat. But now, since we're well past the Kit Kat, I am getting a chocolate on the finish,
like
as well.
on the finish.
Yeah.
Right. No, I think that's accurate. This is just an absolutely wonderful, wonderful presentation, and I think you could add some water to it. I think you could add a rock to it, and not be diminished. We've done it before. We actually checked this out a couple of years back. I'm here to tell you that it's just hitting so pleasantly. It's actually working with the cigar we're doing from Epic Cigars. Along with the people at LCG from Arthur Avenue in the Bronx. This is the Chaz Palminteri cigar. As an actor, Chaz Palminteri, a Bronx Tale. That's the cigar. This is the Calogero, cigar right there. And it is been a very nice, simple smoke. What has been interesting, and Fingers, you pointed this out earlier, is that this cigar, 6x54 with the Ecuadorian Habano wrapper, is not necessarily overly spicy, but it also has not changed as we are now in that second third in a very, very profound way. And this is where you now start asking yourself, at approximately $12.50 MSRP, are you buying this cigar? I'm here to tell you, it's not that it's not smoking poorly. I think it's well constructed. I like Epic. I like Dean Parsons. The Epic 10 to me is a fantastic smoke. Their 10-year anniversary cigar. This is very monotone.
Yeah.
And I do not know if I'm $12.50 on the monotone.
Here's where I'm at when it comes to that. If I walk into my favorite lounge, or I'm at a cigar shop and they have this, and they don't have anything else at this price point that I'm familiar with, I would probably grab one because, like you said, it's been a nice experience. The construction's great. Lots of nice, pleasant smoke coming off of it. Like I said, it's just it hasn't changed all that much as we're getting into the second third. But I don't know if I would go seek this out. I don't know if I would go from shop to shop asking for this cigar.
There's certainly a little more richness that I would like to see, a little more fullness I'd like to see from the cigar. But I get your point. It smokes well. I think the construction is solid. I think the hand feels you brought up earlier is excellent. 54, a little bit bigger in the ring gauge than I normally like to go, but certainly well within a realm of reasonableness. It's just for all the things I'm looking for, it isn't offering me enough. I think you said it very, very well. It's not offering me enough to make me go search it out. It's just not enough of those flavors that I'm personally looking for.
It's fine. It's
a fine smoke.
Yeah.
Absolutely. You grab it, you definitely should try it. It's time, Fingers Malloy, for news of the week.
Tony, I can't do it.
Oh.
I can't continue to do the negative stories that I've been doing here at Eat, Drink, Smoke for Eat, Drink, Smoke Nation. Even though every time I type in a search on DuckDuckGo or Ask Jeeves and I say, give me some good news, and my computer laughs back at me.
Right.
I can't do it. So you know what we're going to do, Tony?
What are we going to do?
We're going to do something that we almost did last hour as far as a food review. Because this story popped, and I was like, I can't believe this is true. According to a 2021 survey commissioned by the National Hot Dog and Sausage Council and the North American Meat Institute.
Well, by the way, how did we not form the North American Meat Institute?
Well, we could form the North American Meat Institute for Institutes.
I love that idea.
19% of Americans prefer topping their hot dogs with mayonnaise.
Okay. You told me you weren't going to share bad news. You sat there with this big smug face and said, I can't do it. I can't bring one more bad story. I absolutely have to bring good news. And then what do? Mayo on a hot dog. I should hit you.
Well, and you may say to yourself, Fingers, this is just a one-off poll. Well, then there was a 2022 poll conducted by Martin's Famous Potato Rolls and Bread that showed the same findings. About 19 to 20% of Americans like to top their hot dogs with mayonnaise.
So here's the question. Gosh, I can't. This show has fallen. So, all right, here's the question. Do you like bologna?
Yes.
Okay. I happen to love me some good bologna.
What does your bologna have a first name?
And fry. Don't hit me with the Oscar Mayer themes. And fried bologna is a great invention.
Mm-hmm.
I do not care who you are. I don't care what kind of epicure you think you are. Fried bologna is fantastic.
You can eat it in a boat. You can eat it with a goat.
Would you put on your fried bologna sandwich, which can only go on white bread, if you put fried bologna on a baguette, we immediately deport you. Would you put mayonnaise on that?
Absolutely.
So why is it wrong to put mayonnaise on a hot dog?
According to 19% of Americans, it's not.
The correct answer is because it is. Now stop asking questions. That's why it's wrong.
In this piece that we're looking at, too, they have a beautiful photo of a hot dog with a lot of mayonnaise on it. And what's even more unfortunate about this photo, right behind it, there's a hot dog with, it looks like a bunch of ketchup.
Ketchup's good. Ketchup on a hot dog works. Can I tell you that my wife is out doing some shopping? Bless that woman.
Mm-hmm.
And she comes across a deal, Fingers Malloy.
Oh.
A deal on a condiment. 2 very large jars. And I'm talking about very large jars from Buffalo Wild Wings, which is not a place I go to. Do you go to the B-dubs, as the kids call it?
Not as much anymore.
They supposedly have a Parmesan garlic sauce.
Mm-hmm.
2 of these massive bottles for $4. That stuff is delicious.
Yeah.
Yes, I will put that on a hot dog. I would put that on a fried bologna sandwich. I would put that on my eggs. I'd put that on a Kit Kat right now. You want me to go get it? I will go try the Parmesan garlic on my Kit Kat right now. We tried ketchup on Kit Kats, which is supposedly a trend on TikTok. And what we determined after eating it is that we should ban TikTok. It's weird that some things are okay and some things aren't okay. Mayonnaise on a hot dog seems like a sin against nature.
I'll tell you what's weird. I find it strange and fascinating that Tony Katz eats bologna.
Oh, it's been a great number of years. It's been a long time since I've had myself some bologna.
Quick response to this question. Mayonnaise okay on a peanut butter sandwich?
I don't even know who you are or what you're saying. What are you talking about?
A peanut butter and mayonnaise sandwich.
Never happened.
Oh, it's quite popular.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
No, it's not.
Get on, Ask
Your mom's
Jeeves.
quite popular. What? Just take the joke and be quiet.
My mother's dead.
Wow. Is that the kind of person you are? Good Lord. Oh, are we done? We got to stop? This is Eat, Drink, Smoke.
Life is full of things to manage. Your work, your family, your plans, and your treatment. Consider Kesimpta, ofatumumab 20 milligram injection. You can take it yourself from the comfort of home. If you're ready for something different, ask your healthcare provider about Kesimpta and check out the details at kesimpta.com. Brought to you by Novartis Pharmaceuticals Corporation.
Southwest Airlines continues to make changes. They're going to be making changes to how you get your seat. They're going to get rid of the open seat thing. And it really seems that they're going to get rid of the open seat, like, hey, sit wherever you want, is because they can charge more for the exit row. And they can charge more for seats in the front of the plane. In today's economy, this is the way it is. They've also decided to list themselves on Google Flights. It's Eat, Drink, Smoke. I'm Tony Katz. That is Fingers Malloy. Find it all at eatdrinksmokeshow.com. And if you're listening on radio over the weekend, happy Father's Day. I hope it's wonderful. I hope you've grilled something glorious. I hope you've had a very relaxing time. I hope you got alone time because maybe that's what you wanted for Father's Day. However it went, from Fingers Malloy and I, happy Father's Day.
Happy Father's Day. And you know what, Tony? Happy Father's Day to you.
And to you.
Thank you.
Sha-la-la-la.
Oh, it's beautiful.
So they're now on Google Flights. I guess I didn't realize that Southwest didn't list its prices on these other services. You had to go to Southwest to get Southwest fares.
Yeah, absolutely. A lot of times when you go on Google Flights, which, listen, I'm not one to usually champion Google and some of the things that they do. I love using Google Flights.
I've never done it.
You've never used Google Flights?
Most everything I do, I go airline to airline, or I go to Priceline. It's an old school habit. I do it. You're telling me I should use Google Flights?
Oh, absolutely. So I'm showing Tony
Look at
this.
that.
Isn't it wonderful?
It's like the world of tomorrow.
Yeah, today.
But today.
So I happen to plug in the dates for July 1st to July 5th, flying from Indianapolis International Airport to Harry Reid International Airport. That's a Las Vegas airport.
Oh, yes. It's always McAllen to me. McCarran. It's always McAllen to me because that's what you do in Vegas.
Exactly. And what used to happen when you would do a search like this, and I'm going to Las Vegas and I'm finding that fares are cheaper now than when I booked 2 months ago. But it's a little disturbing. It would list Southwest, and if I remember correctly, it would list the time of the flight, but it would not have a price. It would say visit southwest.com. But now it's there for everyone to see. And boy, Tony, I got to tell you, back in the day,
right,
Southwest always seemed like it was very competitive. And a lot of times the cheapest airfare, especially when you realize that or you take into account that you're not at this point spending extra for a seat assignment and the first 2 bags are free. But now, man, you look at these flights, and this is just the base fare, and a lot of times Southwest is double the price of some of these discount airlines. Now, keep in mind, that's just the with the Southwest price, it's the all-in price. Whereas, if you go like right now, like I said, the 1st through the 5th, Spirit Airlines is $177 round trip.
Right.
Allegiant $192, and then I'm seeing Southwest is almost $500. But you get on Spirit and then you have to pick your seat on the way out and on the way back. That could be anywhere from $15 to $50. And then the bag fees are insane. You could probably spend another $120 on luggage. So that's where they get you. But I'm really happy that Southwest is on Google Flights, so you could finally see the price instead of having to go to all different sites, the Tony Katz way.
I like that they show you the emissions on the airplane so you can immediately stick a fork in your eye. What are we doing?
Yeah.
What in the world are we even considering here?
That's been a thing for a while. And I really have nothing to add other than an eye roll on the radio.
Right? I wholeheartedly agree with that. There was another story. You have this from a group called the Visual Capitalist. The income a family needs to live comfortably in every U.S. state. How do you begin to do this mathematics? How could you begin to say, here's what you need to live comfortably? Who decides? Who decides who lives comfortably? And by the way, have you seen these numbers?
It's insane.
These numbers are not earned by lots of people. Allow me to say clearly, if I'm in North Dakota and you tell me I need to make $202,000 a year, I don't need to be in North Dakota. And I'm not anti-North Dakota. I think it's a fantastic spot. But holy cow.
And here's the other thing, too, how they came up with these numbers. They do a 50-30-20 budget, where 50% of your earnings are allocated towards necessities, 30% discretionary spending, and then 20% savings. Now, I would love to believe that all Americans are stuffing 20% away of their income in savings or some sort of investments. But I think we pretty much can jump to the conclusion that that's not the case, that Americans aren't doing that.
I have to believe the debt is through the roof. We keep talking about this credit card debt. and how the defaults are growing on credit card debt. In the first quarter, it was 1.12 trillion in credit card debt. I'm waiting for that bubble to burst, because to me, and we're already starting to see defaults, that's the canary. That's the signal that it's all going to get real bad real quick. But according to this list, in Indiana, $206,000 to live comfortably. But have they determined what comfortable is? Here it is. Comfortable is determined by this thing that you said: 50% housing utilities, 30% discretionary spending, 20% savings or investment, but doesn't discuss anything else. Like, it doesn't discuss weather. So, for example, Hawaii, it's $295,000, but Massachusetts, the highest on the list, it's $301,000.
It's amazing. I don't know how people do it if they were using this formula, but I think a lot of people who are listening to this are thinking, okay, first of all, again, 20% savings, I wish. And then second of all, 30% of my income's going to discretionary income. And what are they saying is discretionary? Just the going out to eat, and
I assume those things.
Buying clothing, but even that's kind of tricky. Is that considered a necessity? You need clothes, And
you take a look at Virginia. So, for example, they say 235,000. It's Virginia. You and I both know that if you are in Charlottesville or Farmville, in some of these areas, actual place, we have a friend who lives there, 235,000 is doing you quite all right. If you're in Arlington or Alexandria, those areas around the Potomac right near D.C., 235,000 is half of what you need.
You're clipping coupons.
Correct.
That's what you're doing. Yeah, you're absolutely right. And I just look at some of these states. We talked about it before. California, the real estate prices out there, when you're seeing these, cable TV shows where they've got a couple looking at 3 different homes, and they're like, oh, here's a 1,500 square foot ranch for $1.4 million. You're like, oh my goodness, how are people doing it?
Crazy. I remember I used to live in California. I almost bought in California. I loved the house. Thank goodness it didn't work out. Thank goodness that all went to pot. But they don't give an answer about the idea of comfortable. And comfortable is a very individual, personal thing. So we'll have this up at eatdrinksmokeshow.com. This is silly. I don't know how you make these determinations, but I reject $202,000 in North Dakota, like I reject I reject the number in Virginia, 235,000. It's not enough. And does my 30% discretionary spending allow me to buy a bottle of the Woodford Reserve Masters Collection, the batch proof, 118.4 proof from 2022, which if you can find a bottle now, it'd be $300.
Look at it as an investment. It's part of savings.
Ah, nice. And then the Bronx Tail, the Calogero, right here. I always pronounce it wrong. I don't mean to. From Epic Cigars, a simple smoke, $12.50 is the MSRP. You can find one, smoke one. Decide for yourself. I'd like to see a little more change in the flavors in this final third. Haven't seen it yet. Find everything at eatdrinksmokeshow.com. This is Eat Drink Smoke.
Follow Eat Drink Smoke on social media, on Twitter at Go Eat Drink Smoke, on Facebook, facebook.com/Eat Drink Smoke, and Instagram at Eat Drink Smoke Podcast.